This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello, welcome to episode 16 of the Bristol Flyers Podcast. I'm Joel Osborne. He is Sam Hardy. We've got Leslee Smith with us this week on the Bristol Flyers Podcast. And Sam, before we get underway, I have to give a shout out to everyone who's been tuning in since we've been here in the studio, because our numbers have shot up massively since the start of this new season.
It's because the lights are on us now. We're looking prettier, Joel. So they're like, do you know what? We're going to watch that. And we're getting great guests in like these guys to sort of, you know, get people's taste buds tickled a little bit, I reckon.
Yeah, no one wants to hear us ramble on each and every week. So it's good to have Leslee with us. Obviously, we'll keep episodes coming every single Wednesday. So do subscribe, do watch us on YouTube, all those podcasty things that podcast hosts tell you to do. Go and do them. We really appreciate your support here on the Bristol Flyers Podcast. Ratings, reviews, etc., etc.
In fact, on that note, reviews do really help. They get us up the leaderboards a little bit. So if you could go and leave us a 5-star review, it's definitely worth 5 stars. Do you reckon, Joel?
I think so as well. Yeah. Much better than that Sunday Night Breakdown that they have on the podcast. Yeah, number one British basketball podcast right here. As we say, joining us this week, a man that needs no introduction. He is our very own island boy.
I'm an island boy.
And it is none other than Leslee Smith. Leslee, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm doing good. That's a crazy introduction, but I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you for having me.
Did you like the intro there, did you?
Yeah, it was all right.
There was plenty more where that came from. How are you finding it being back in Bristol so far?
I'm enjoying it. You know, I'm glad to be back. You know, it's been, about 3 years, 4 years. So, you know, just being able to come back and, just get back into it. You know, it's been a while, and, so, I mean, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah. We noticed you picked up that island accent since your first spell with the club.
You're home for like 2 years, COVID. So, you just get back to speaking the way your native tongue and stuff like that. But, just got to fix it a little bit. We good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an island boy.
You talk about like being back in Bristol. You've been soaking up some of this Bristol culture. I know you've been here for a couple of years in the past, so I imagine you know all the hot spots are around town and things like that.
The hot spots? I'm still not too, familiar with the hot spots. I know where the food spots are, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's what I meant by hot spots.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the food, mainly rice and things, so I got to keep it close to home. So I go to Rice and Things a little bit too often.
Yeah. Have you ever had a Rice and Things, Joel?
I've not myself personally, but I see it plastered all over Leslie's Instagram story.
We got to get you there. We got to get there.
What about Bickle Island? Is that
Bickle? I've had Bickle before. I think Bickle is less variety of food. It's more like a buffet style, I think. But Rice and Things is more like a restaurant. You can order in and get a lot more variety. So I think Rice and Things is a much better selection.
Well, we've actually got a sponsorship from Rice and Things for you especially. I'm just
Man, I was about to get excited. I'm not going to lie, because we need that. Me and Jelani, we need that. We go there almost every week.
Well, we do have, obviously, you do have the Subway sponsorship as well. You've been taking full advantage of that Subway sponsorship.
I think I need some new vouchers, actually. I used mine up the first week, so.
That's weird, because we gave you 100, so.
Don't say that. Nah. Yeah, we're using quite a bit. Yeah, it comes in handy. Yeah, after a practice.
Yeah, definitely one of the partnerships that our players love the most is that partnership with Subway. I think they get like loads of vouchers that give them like a free footlong and a footlong and a
free
drink and a
footlong drink. Sometimes you get a discount. We also have pepperoni. You get free pizza, stuff like that. So
they're eating healthy.
Subway's got salad in it, Joe. Okay,
there we go.
When I cook a little bit healthy. So it kind of balances it out.
Yeah, you mentioned your cooking. We had Jelani Watson-Gale on the podcast last week, and
my guy, shout out.
He was mentioning you don't like to cook for him, apparently.
Listen, right? Okay, he cooks, I cook. I'll share if I have enough. I usually don't make a lot, but when I do like pasta and stuff, it's a lot. But usually when I cook, it's just enough for me for that night. I don't really do too much meal prepping and stuff like that, so I won't make enough so where I could hey, you could have some of this. I did actually let him try my Rasta pasta the other day. First time making it, it was, I did pretty good.
Talk us through the Rasta pasta.
So actually, I got the recipe from Pinterest. I actually just enjoy cooking stuff, trying new things. So I'm not gonna go off of what I think. So I'm gonna follow the recipe. So I got it off Pinterest, and you know, I think I did pretty good.
What's in it?
A lot of stuff, man. A lot of spices. You know, bell peppers, garlic, onions, stuff I don't really like eating. That's the crazy part. Like I don't really like onions and garlic and none of that stuff, but it makes the food taste good. So when I cooked it, I was like, I don't even like this stuff, but hey,
when you put it all together, it's that Leslee Smith magic.
Yeah, you know it. So yeah, it actually came out pretty good, and I'm gonna add it to my list of things to cook.
Nice. So if you're having a team over for a meal, say Leslee Smith is cooking for the whole team and players and staff as well, obviously. What are you cooking for everyone?
Everybody.
What is
That's
your
a lot.
go-to?
I might make the pasta because you can make a big amount, you know. So I think that would be like one of the easier things to make. You know, I like to make I like seafood, you know, coming from the islands, you know, so a lot of seafood. So I'll do some salmon, maybe some prawns, and some chicken with it. But I'm always going to go to salmon just because it's easy to cook. It doesn't take too long, you know, so that's why I always pick salmon.
Actually, Jelani mentioned the salmon last week, didn't he? Jelani was not keen on the fish that you're into. He was like, keep me away from the fish. That's maybe why he doesn't want to eat the food you make for him.
Hey, listen, more for me, you know, but nah, I mean, you know, salmon, you know, I eat it for the health benefits. You know, it also tastes good, but, you know, like I said, it's easy to cook. It doesn't take a long time. Jelani uses more air fryer stuff. He does the air frying, so
Yeah, we definitely heard about that last week on the podcast.
I don't really use air frying. I like, you know, I think the air frying it kind of like hard to get flavor in it, you know. So when I use more of the pan sear, you know, fry it a little bit just to keep the season going and stuff like that, you know. So
We did a cooking show with, I say cooking show, during lockdown. We had Coach Nick. His videos went absolutely bonkers
Coach
on
Nick.
social media. He was cooking with Coach Nick. You can go check him out on
gotta check
YouTube.
this out.
I'll send you the link after this.
Yeah.
His tray bake was a fan favorite, and a few other dishes in there. But Coach Nick Burns' tray bake. Make sure you go check it out on the Bristol Flyers YouTube channel. Les, you talk about cooking to sort of unwind away from the basketball court. What other things are you doing away from the court to relax and unwind?
Oh man, I'm a gamer, big time gamer, man. I love gaming. I play a lot of games. I really only play Apex right now. Apex is the only thing I'm playing right now. Y'all like Apex?
Bit of Apex Legends.
Yeah.
I've dabbled in it myself from time to time.
Yeah, so that's really what I do. You know, once I get home, just to take my mind away from anything, just play the game. Sometimes I get on YouTube and just, you know, watch basketball clips or just watch something funny. I just try to always find something to make me laugh. You know, so the game basketball is has its own stress. Even playing a game has a little bit of stress. So sometimes, you know, before I go to bed, I'll just turn on somebody funny, you know, and just watch something funny to wind down and, you know, go to bed after that.
Who's funny for you? Who's your choice?
Right now, I've been listening to a lot of Charleston White. I don't know if you know who that guy is. He's a nut. You might not know who he is, but he's a nut. But in terms of comedy, it's like I go for more of like the social media comedy. So like Ha Davis and these guys get a quick laugh, you know, stuff like that. But if I do go on YouTube, I might look up like Eddie Griffin, you know, guys like that. You know, Cat Williams. You know, I'm not too big a fan of Kevin Hart. His new stuff, not really, but his old stuff is pretty funny. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I do to wind down.
Yeah, nice. You spoke about cooking earlier on. I was going to Sam earlier. One thing I'm really looking forward to this year, obviously it's our first away games this year, is the return of Zoe Thompson's cooking on our away trips. Obviously, Zoe's been a long-term volunteer for the club for years now, and in the past has always cooked for the players and staff on the way home.
Shout out to Zoe.
She's done some what is it, jerk chicken and rice and peas.
Some jerk chicken. I think she did curry
chicken
before.
Curry,
Yeah, she keeps it simple, you know, because you never know what guys like. So you keep it pretty simple, you know, not, you know, don't overdo it. But, you know, shout out to Zoe. Her cooking is, you know, very clutch. You know, sometimes you get on the road and you ain't have no food, or you might not have time to stop. You know, she have food there waiting. So she actually messaged me on Instagram when she saw me cook. She's like, I need to hand my cooking services over to you because I'm like, nah, don't give it to me. I can't handle the whole team. I can just handle myself right now. But yeah,
nice.
Shout out to Zoe.
Yeah, she obviously hasn't been able to do it for the last couple of years because of the pandemic and stuff, and we've had to limit numbers on the bus. But now this season is the return of Zoe's cooking. I'm so excited. The chicken curry is, when I say it's unbelievable, it is unbelievable.
Yeah, she does a really good job. And the cakes too. I don't know if we're gonna get the cakes. You know.
Emma used to do the cakes as well. Yeah,
I
you're
was
right.
speaking about that earlier. You need that cake.
Well, you need
that carrot cake.
You need to get Emma involved, hey? Give her tweet her after this and be like,
Shout out
Emma,
to
get her some cakes.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know Emma's social media. Emma, if you're hearing this, we need the cakes. We need We need the carrot cake and the lemon drizzle lemon cake. We need that. Bring that back.
There we go. That's our plea for the Bristol Flyers podcast to please bring back the cakes.
We need that. They're gonna enjoy it.
Les, another thing I've been seeing on Instagram lately, on people's stories over the last few weeks, is the hashtag scat team hashtag. I need to know about what it is, who's in the scat team. Tell me more.
First of all, shout out to all my scat members. You know, it's me, Ibuka, Jelani, Corey, I think and Louis. There's 5 of us right now, and the thing is, the scat is it's a basketball term, you know, and it's something I got from a friend of mine when I was back in college. He was this older guy, and every time I would shoot the ball, he would shoot the ball, he would say scat, and it's pretty much all net. So it's just, I brought it here my first year when I came to Bristol, and I kind of forgot about it. So when I got back, Ibuka was like, scat, boss. And he just keeps saying, I was like, man, I clean forgot about scat. So we just like, you know what, we're going to just build on it. But the thing about the scat, man, not everybody has it.
Okay.
You know, you could develop the scat, but you got to be born with it, you know? So people like Jelani, myself, you know, Ibuka, Corey, you know, we got a lot of guys. I think Brandon has a scat for sure. You know, Brandon Mahan, yeah, he definitely got one, but he don't want to be on the team. So if you want to be scat team, just let me know. You know, we got one for you. We got a spot for you. But yeah, the scat is just a basketball term we use to, you know, identify a shot or somebody's game, you know, something like that. So it's like a respect thing, kind of like, yeah, you got the scat, you nice.
Who definitely doesn't have the scat on the team?
I'm not pointing any fingers, man. I'm not gonna point any fingers. I ain't gonna say it, man. I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
Off air, he said VJ doesn't have the scat. That's what he's
VJ got the scat. VJ got the scat. But I'm not. Don't mention anybody else. Most of us got the scat, but.
Les, is the scat also a term able to describe how someone puts a poster up on the wall? Because we did the kit launch shoot, the home kit launch shoot the other week.
I remember.
For those of you that haven't seen it, when we launched the home jersey this year, we had Leslee Smith come down right here, actually, down to the site of we did it right next door to Ashton Gate, the site where our new arena will be, and essentially he was putting up a poster of himself. You know, the idea was put up a poster of yourself wearing the new uniform and then driving off to reveal the new uniform. And I think it took us like 5, 6, 7 takes.
We almost ran out of posters. That's how many takes it took. Yeah, but it was a good experience. It was fun. You know, I never did anything like that before. So, you know, it makes sense for us to mess up a lot. But, you know, it was fun. You know, I enjoyed it. Putting on the poster, I think it was cool, especially watching the video when it was finished, the finished product. You know, you never really get to see how you see the end product, even though the in between all of it was kind of messy and stuff like that. The end product came out pretty good, and we got some good reviews. Yeah,
it did, didn't it? I mean, got to give a shout out to the Fever Pitch guys of the hard work they did behind the scenes on the kit launch. The video turned out really well in the end, but it was had to do it in one take, sort of driving up, putting up the poster. It was like a brush with glue, wasn't it?
Yeah,
you had to
I don't know, the glue. It was messy, man. It was hard to get it up there, you know, just rolling it on, and then some would fall off and to roll back off. So when I got it up there, I was like, let's get it. And, you know, we got some takes.
Yeah. And obviously you had the underground edgy car that Rogan has, the nice Mini Cooper. Is that right?
Yeah. Somebody messaged me and it was like, why the Mini Cooper? I was like, I don't know. I thought it was funny, you know, but I mean, at least I was able to fit. You know, I fit in some cars I couldn't drive. At least I was able to get out and drive it. So it wasn't too small.
Yeah, very good. Well, Les, thanks a lot for joining us on the podcast so far. We've got a new feature, actually. We got introduced to the podcast. It's called the Rapid Fire Questions. So before we get to this week's sort of news around the league, we are, as a new feature to introduce, it will either go really well or it will go really badly. But I guess there's only one way to find out how this will go. We're going to ask you as many questions about yourself as you possibly can in 30 seconds. We want it to be quick as possible.
Quick replies.
Quick replies, 1 word, 2 word answers tops. And we'll see how many we can get in in 30 seconds. I feel like we need to get like the lights down low for this. So Sam, I've got a power vested in me. Let's bring the lights down in the podcast. Ooh, red lighting. Look at that. Well, it's like magic, isn't it? No, it's actually, I've got this telly button here. Look. Anyway, should we crack on with these quick fire questions?
Let's do it. You got 30 seconds, and we're gonna make a leaderboard, and the person who gets the most answers right over the season, they win a prize.
They win pride. They
Pride.
win not a prize. They win
yeah.
pride. So I think I messed up what I was saying there. But yeah, they win pride. So pride's at stake here, Les. Are you ready? You've got 30 seconds, starting from now. What is your favourite holiday?
Sheesh.
Name a holiday.
Thanksgiving. I don't know.
Thanksgiving.
Signature dance move.
The Millie Rock.
Favourite NBA team as a kid?
As a kid, the Lakers.
Best sports movie of all time.
Sports movie. Woo. Sports movie.
Clock ticking, Les.
Sports movie.
Clock ticking.
Coach Carter.
Favourite I started, so I'll finish. Favourite pre-game meal? I mean, you've got all the time in the world now to answer this one. So.
Listen. Favorite pregame meal? You already know it's gonna be salmon, man.
Salmon.
You already
There we
know it's gonna
go.
be salmon.
Well, I think I didn't even keep count of that one. I think it was like 3 or 4.
It was 5, and I'm going to tell you right
5.
now that you will not win by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's our
agree.
quick fire questions. We've got quick fire questions every week on the podcast from now on. We'll get our guests to answer as many questions as they can on themselves, and the score to beat is 5. Shall I crank these lights back up to blue?
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's better. Flyers blue. That's what we want.
Lovely jubbly. Shall we get round to this week's news then, Sam?
Yes.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
All right, time to take a look at what's been happening around the BBL this week, and have to give a big shout out first of all to London Lions. Of course, last night they won their first Euro Cup game. They defeated Dolomitri Energia Trento of Italy 80 points to 75, becoming the first British team to win a Euro Cup game since 2004.
Wow.
So that certainly is an achievement for them. Many congratulations to the London Lions.
They were trailing in every quarter except for the very end, weren't they? I saw
They were, yeah. And in the end, they were able to pull it back. Obi Soko had himself probably his best game I've seen in a London Lions uniform. And it's obviously, on the court in the BBL, we're rivals, but, when they play in the Euro Cup, we all want to see London do well to put British basketball on the map. So, supporting them for yesterday. In a couple of weeks' time, maybe not so much. Other news around the league this week. After we were finished recording the podcast last Wednesday, we saw the news come out about Marcus Evans joining the Cheshire Phoenix. Marcus Evans, of course, used to play for us last season, so that will certainly make Sunday's game against Cheshire a bit more interesting.
I got mixed feelings about this one. I loved Marcus last year. He was such a smooth player, and so signing for another team, I don't know. But it's nice to have him in the league, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's obviously he signed with a Swedish club, I think it was, and then the opportunity came for him to come back into the league. So great to see him back in the league, and we wish him all the best of his season. Just not against Bristol Flyers.
Speaking of Phoenix, actually, they just released another player last night, didn't they?
They released Danny Evans, and they've also brought in American wing Makio Jack out of the University of Buffalo, which is the same school that former player Antoine Johnson came from.
Antoine Sweet Cheeks Johnson, we should say.
Sweet Cheeks Johnson. We had him on a previous episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast last season. So, Makio Jack, new signing, so he should be in for Sunday as well. So, Les, when you play a team like that, and obviously lots of new players coming into the team, unknowns as such, sort of how does that affect your preparation going into these kind of games?
You just got to go back and look at, especially if they haven't played in the BBL, just go back and look at where they played previously, whether it's college or a different league. It doesn't really change unless it's kind of on the fly and we don't really have time to prepare. But I mean, we obviously have some days in between, so it's not going to change the way we prepare for the team. We just got to go through the scout. Coach is going to do an awesome job with the scouting report anyway, so we just got to pay attention to the details and go out and execute on the game plan.
I guess it makes it a bit easier, isn't it, in a scout when you've got like Marcus Evans, who obviously played for the club before. Right. I guess I imagine coach knows Marcus's tendencies in and out, you'd like to assume. So
it's a tough one as well, because these guys coming in that haven't played in the BBL before, there's always teething problems, isn't there? Like, there's a different league, different refereeing, different sort of physicality. So it's hard. You can watch Jack and see how well he's been playing sort of in the States or whatever, but we won't tell fully until he comes onto the court and we see a few games of him playing in the BBL, I suppose.
Yeah, I think there's always like an adjustment period. Did you find that as well, as when you joined from the team you played in Georgia to come to the BBL, that adjustment period to like the physicality of the BBL?
Definitely, it was definitely different. You know, the way the referees allow more physicality, and that's something I had to get used to. Even though my first game was really good, but as we played harder teams, the refereeing became different, and just making that adjustment and understanding that this is how the game is played here is what I had done. That was the biggest adjustment for me, but, you know, and maturing within the league, maturing within the game, maturing within the team, the offense, and just being effective, you know, in my position and what's expected of me.
Yeah, a lot of players do say they have that kind of moment like that. We spoke about the Jelani last week, like the welcome to the BBL moment, like whether it's like a big screen or something like that, or getting dunked on or something, where it's like, oh wow, I'm playing in pros and it's actually a really physical. And I think people underestimate, don't they, the physicality of the BBL. It's a very up and down league, isn't it?
It's pretty physical. It's pretty physical. But the physicality comes from the amount of physicality the refs allow. You know, some refs are going to be very touchy, you know, and some refs are going to allow you to play a little bit more. But, you know, I think it's better for players to have that physicality, because now you learn how to play, you know, make tougher shots, you know, be more aggressive, and it helps you stay aggressive. It helps you stay on your toes, you know, the whole time. So it's much needed, you know. So compared to a league like Georgia, I don't know what it's like now, but it was definitely I felt the difference in the gameplay and the speed and, you know, the referee and the physicality. So it's a complete different game.
I feel like I've seen the referees must have some sort of like things that they focus on, because I'm seeing this year they seem to be calling offensive fouls on the screen a lot more this year than maybe last year and previous years. So yeah, maybe that's something they talk about. I don't know for sure, but have you noticed that in your
that's game? You know, it's their jobs to get it right. You know, because that could change the aspect of a game. Whether, like, look at Malcolm the other day, you know, getting those offensive screens, and he got to come out of the game. You know, so it could put teams in a bad situation. You know, but it also helps players to do the right thing. So we got to learn from our mistakes. So if you go out there and we keep setting illegal screens, we're going to keep getting in foul trouble. So they need to call these fouls so we can know to make the adjustment and do it right. Because I mean, the screen is to help somebody get that advantage, but if you're giving them an extra advantage because you're setting an illegal one, then it's not right for it's just not right for the game. But, you know, I'm glad they're doing that, because a lot of guys do set a lot of bad screens, illegal screens, though. So it just helps balance the game out a little bit more, especially with guys as wider, bigger bodies. You know, it's kind of hard to see that they're moving because they're so big, but they really still be moving, you know. So it's good that they're cracking down on those screens.
Yeah, and also Sam, just getting to the biggest news of the week. This should have been top of the news section, but Flyers going 4-0, beating Leicester Riders. Obviously, the biggest news of the week. That one, Les. That was your first ever win against Leicester Riders.
I think that was the first time I ever beat the Riders. Yeah, so I was excited about that. I had a lot of fun. So it was really good for me.
Yeah.
You played a big physical game in that. And obviously, you're talking about Mount getting all the fouls. You ended up playing like a whole load of that game, didn't you?
Yeah. I told Malk after the game, I said, man, you trying to kill me, man? Like, you trying to kill me, man? I just got back, you know. But it was good. You know, sometimes you need that, you know, just to know where you are physically and how you feel. But I was glad I was able to pick up the slack, you know, and just be physical and help the team come up with that victory.
The one play that comes to mind is really, it's not even, you did so many great rebounds and all the rest of it, but there's the weird like cut across where you just seem to be open. You got they passed it to you in the lane and you just had a layup, like, and it just seemed like, I don't know how you lost your man so easily. Like, what happened there?
I mean, I think one of our focuses was to put the bigger guys in screen situations because they're not as mobile as we are. So, you know, I just wanted to use my speed as an advantage. So keep them moving, keep them on their toes, and you know, so it worked out for me. But you know, that's just playing tendencies and understanding, you know, matchup situations. They're bigger guys. I can't go down there and just keep trying to back them down and stuff. I got to use my speed, use what's going to help me. So just running around and getting free layups, if that's going to help, then I'll do that, you know. So just playing to my strengths really and my advantage.
A big shout out to Mike Miller and Jelani for those two unbelievable sort of like handle followed by...
Oh, they were outrageous, by the
both
way.
of them. The Mike one was great. That's made BBL top 10 this week, and it was so good with his little floater at the end. But Jelani's spin move it was just disgusting, wasn't it?
It was nasty. I was right there. I was like, oh my God. You know, I was like, I think I did something on the phone. I was like, yeah, that was nice. You know, but in full time, it looked like he traveled a little bit. But when you look back, I was like, oh, that's actually really good footwork. I didn't know you had it in him, man. Shout out to Jelani, scat team. Let's go.
Obviously, that win improves Flyers to 4-0 to start the league campaign. The best ever start by a Bristol Flyers team in the BBL, which is amazing to see. And before the game, Sam, you actually met the guys from the Leicester Riders podcast, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just there setting up my stuff, all of this rubbish, and I got a tap on the shoulder, and Mark Ellis from the Riders podcast came and tapped me on the shoulder, and we had a nice chat. He's a lovely man. You met with him as well, didn't you, Joel?
Yeah, I did. And they were apparently they were speaking about us on their most recent, their preview episode for the Bristol Flyers game. Should we take a listen to what they had to say?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Sam Hardy, I feel I need to give him a shout out. He's got the greatest hair I've ever seen for a long time. I think they need to kind of exploit that in a bit more detail. You know who he reminded me of? A former Riders player.
Go on.
Do you remember? It's not too far back ago. 2019, we signed a player called Joe Scott.
I do remember Joe.
Yeah, do you remember his fantastic flowing locks?
No, I mean Joe's hair was so good that when he was running, it felt like he was running in slow motion, and someone had turned the wind machine on.
Absolutely.
It was like a continuous advert for herbal essences or something.
Yeah, so Sam Hardy's got a similar hairstyle. If you're not sure what we're talking about, rambling on, check out photographs. Look at Sam Hardy, and then check it out to Joe Scott, 2019 in a Riders kit, and hopefully you'll see the connection.
Well, don't worry, you haven't got to do your homework because we have found an image of Joe Scott, which we can put up on the screen right here. And Sam, just stand next to it a second and just sort of, let's have a look here. Let's see. He's taking his headphones off. I think it looks pretty uncanny, to be honest with you. What do you reckon?
Arguably bigger muscles from this guy.
But it's uncanny, right?
Close, yeah.
He's a handsome man, isn't he?
Uncanny, you guys could be brothers. Is that Sam Hardy in disguise?
Is it?
If you saw me on the court, then no, it's not.
Well, there we go. Joe Scott, Sam Hardy, same person here on the Bristol Flyers podcast. Les, just going back to that game against Leicester Riders, a lot of people going into the season had spoken about the Flyers, and you've seen the preseason predictions, I'm sure, of a lot of the pundits putting Flyers finishing, 10th. A couple have had them at 9th. Is that something that you guys have spoken about? Or do you guys speak about that kind of stuff in the locker room?
Yeah, we that's something we keep reminding ourselves about, that they don't believe in us, and I think since I've been playing with Bristol, it's always been like that. I've always been that underdog. We always been the underdogs, had that underdog mentality. But, I felt like no matter what we have accomplished as a club, they always seem to put us in the back. So, I mean, that's something coach definitely hangs his hat on. The team, we definitely, using that to keep that chip on our shoulders to, like, okay, well, we're going to show you guys that, okay, you got us 10th, but we're going to beat the one you got number 1. You're going to beat the number 2 team. We're going to do what we have to do to show you, like, no matter what it takes. So that's something we definitely keep in the back of our minds. Like, they have us to finish last.
Yeah. Well, Drew Lasker put out his official apology this past week up on Twitter. He wrote a blog on the BBL website where he apologized to Flyers fans for putting them dead last in his preseason predictions. I think, like you say, that just is fuel, isn't it, for the guys? I mean, like, I know obviously it's a lot of turnover in the team from last season, but bringing in, keeping the likes of Malcolm and Mike, and obviously bringing yourself back, who kind of knows the system, knows the structure, knows the style that coach likes to play. That must give you guys a good feeling going into these big games, knowing that you can compete with the best and get wins in this league.
Yeah, we got a good group. We might not have big names like some of these other teams, but we got a lot of guys that have heart, that want to win. And they believe in each other. We believe in each other. We enjoy being around each other. I think that plays a big part of the reason why we have success. We generally have a lot of fun. If you come to one of our practices, like during a warm up, we're laughing, we're cracking jokes. So we enjoy being around each other, and I think that's helping our performance on the court. So and that plays a big role. At the end of the day, that plays a big role.
Yeah, of course, Flyers, they're playing Newcastle on Friday, so Drew Lasker will get a chance to see you guys in person because obviously he's up from that part of the country. So
he played. I think he spent most of his career in Newcastle, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
There's some words there from Leslee Smith for Drew Lasker.
Going back to what you were saying there about the team, though, I can already see there's some years, and in other teams as well, you see, that sometimes it's just a bit disjointed, but already we can see you guys really like playing with each other. You do anything for each other on the court as well, and I'm excited to see what this team can do this year, man. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I think every time we've had a game this season so far, it's been like, oh, Manchester Giants, that'll be a real big test because they brought in players like Fletcher and Dirk Williams and William Lee and stuff. And then we play, Sheffield, like one of the best defensive teams in the league. That'll be a real big test for the team. It's like a lot of the conversations happening. You go into the Southwest Derby. Oh, but how will they cope in a derby game? A lot of all the different emotions associated with the Southwest Derby. Last week was, how are they going to... It could be their biggest test now against Leicester Riders, and they go 4-0. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but can they do it on the road? Do you know what I mean? So obviously now this weekend is a chance for you guys to go on the road and see how you get on.
Like, you're always going to have some backfire. No matter what you do, you're going to always have something trying to stop what you got going, especially if it's something good. So they want us to fail. That's why they're bringing up all these, let's see them do it on the road. Let's see them go 6-0, or whatever the situation may be. There's always going to be something. If we go 6-0 this weekend, they're going to say, I bet they can't do 7-0. That's just how it works, So we're not hanging our hat on that. We just playing one game at a time. We're just trying to get better each day, better each game, and build on that. We're not worrying about what the naysayers are saying. We already know what they said. They said 10th place. That's all we need to hear. We don't need to hear anything else. So that's enough fuel for us. We know we're not perfect. We know we're not where we need to be, but we work towards that every day. So.
Yeah. Well, obviously you guys are on the road this weekend, so no home game for the fans. However, tickets are selling fast for the first of two games against Caledonia Gladiators. The first one Friday, November 4th, back here at the SGS Wise campus. The following one is a week later, and there's a London Lions game as well on that Sunday, the home doubleheader. So tickets for that one available over at bristolflyers.co.uk. If you want to get your tickets, don't miss out.
And this weekend, don't forget you can watch both games on the BBL player and see, hopefully, Bristol goes 6-0.
And that's the plan. That's the aim.
Sam, shall we get on to this week's Word of the Week segment?
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Okay, so last week we made a new segment and we called it Word of the Week. We had to... Jelani gave me the word cauliflower. I had to try and squeeze into the broadcast for the Leicester Riders game. I can tell you I did get the word cauliflower into the Leicester Riders broadcast. I can tell you I absolutely butchered it. So, Sam, should we take a listen?
Yeah, shooting the ball well the last couple of games, the Flyers.
King kicks out to Bell. The
bounds.
three-pointer is good, but just stepped on the line.
Yep.
Thomas Bell, you can tell, he's hot like cauliflower up there. He's hot like cauliflower up there. I think I meant to say, right, here's what I meant to say. I meant to say hot like cauliflower cheese, but then I just suddenly must have had like a lapse of concentration. And I said he's hot like cauliflower. It doesn't even make any sense.
You can think of probably a million things hotter than cauliflower that you could have said, Joel. That is amazing.
I was going to say something along the lines of eat your spinach and your cauliflower. You know what I mean? Well, I don't know, but I did get the word in, and cauliflower was hot like cauliflower up there. Hot like cauliflower. We managed to get it in. Obviously, no word of the week this week because we are on the road. However, we are taking requests for the game against Caledonia Gladiators. So if you've got a word that you want to add into word of the week, got 2 weeks to get some words in. So maybe we get like a bunch of words and then draw one out of a hat or something like that. Les, you got any ideas of some interesting words that could fit into the broadcast for the Gladiators?
I know what you need to get in.
Oh, I'm an island boy.
No. I don't have any words.
No. Well, if you do think of any words in the build-up between now and that Caledonia game, send us a tweet at Bristol Flyers. You can do it on Instagram at Bristol Flyers. We're at Bristol Flyers everywhere.
And Joel promises he will get it in better than this week, won't you, Joel?
Yeah, I'll give it a good go. I mean, that was probably that's the first one, so you got to give us some slack here. But hey, hot like cauliflower, it is in there, and that's our word of the week.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
So, Leslee, obviously we've spoken about your time with the Flyers so far. I want to look back. We do it with every guest, is look back at their route into the club. Obviously, you played your college basketball at Nebraska. Like, how do you look back on that experience?
Nebraska, that was a crazy 2 years for me. Just getting to Nebraska was kind of a mind-blowing experience for me because I transferred from SMU before and I went to JUCO. So it was more like, the reason me going to JUCO was like, when I was transferring from SMU, I had a lot of lower schools, calling me and asking me about, transferring to their school and stuff like that. And I was like, I feel like I'm better than that. No disrespect to those schools. I just felt like I could do more for myself. So I decided to go to junior college, and I said, look, I'm going to take this year. I got 2 more years of eligibility. I'll take this year. And wherever I end up, that's where I belong.
Yeah.
So, just getting to Nebraska was more like, okay, I actually belong with these guys. This is where I belong. So it was a good turnout for me. Yeah.
And then obviously you signed your first pro deal in Georgia, didn't you? So how did that kind of come about coming out of college?
The crazy thing is I didn't even want to play pro.
Really?
I didn't even want to play pro. I was done with basketball, believe it or not. Because remember, I was coming off of an injury. I was coming off of an ACL repair, and it was just, when that second injury happened, I told myself I was going to be done with basketball. I'm just going to finish off my college career and just be done. And I took a little break, and I was just home. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I said, man, you know what? Let me just try and play and see how it feels, see how my leg feels, see how my knee feels, stuff like that. So that's how I ended up. I was in South America for a little bit, for a couple months, and that went well. So that's when I ended up in Georgia, and that's when I was like, okay, I could still play. I could still play, and then I got the deal and came to Bristol. Yeah,
and like you say, like how did that whole process come about? Sort of coming into Bristol for the first time. Is that somewhere you sort of felt like you wanted to play in terms of a language, a country that speaks English?
Definitely, a country that speaks English. I mean, South America was different. I speak a little bit of Spanish and a little Espanol, but it was tough being out there. Just the culture, just the way they live out there, stuff like that. I couldn't do it. And even in Georgia, it's just the culture. I just couldn't get adjusted to it. I couldn't, I didn't like where I was living at. And just people not speaking English. It was just tough living over there. So, when I got the opportunity to come to England, I was like, okay, English speaking country. I'm British. It's kind of an easy decision, and it was a better league. So it was like, okay, well, let me just come here and just see what I can do.
Well, you spent 2 years here with us in Bristol, and then of course you the period we didn't really talk about of Leslee Smith's career, where he signed with Sheffield Sharks and with that team that starts with the letter P. Those Plymouth Raiders.
It was Plymouth Raiders then, actually, wasn't it?
Not going to talk about that.
Which is your favourite team in the BBL that you've played for?
Right here.
That's the correct answer here on the podcast.
Even if it's a lie, that's fine.
Nah, it's no lie. That's the truth.
What is what would you say is the biggest difference in your experiences between the 3 BBL clubs that you played for? Obviously, not many players do play at multiple BBL clubs, so they don't get a chance to see how each club is ran behind the scenes. What would you say are the biggest differences from your point of view from your time between those 3 clubs?
I would say just the way they handled my situation, whether it's, whatever they promised to get me or whatever like that. I feel like it was more professional here. I feel like it just felt more professional here, just from a standpoint of the business. Everything just felt way more structured and stuff like that. I'm not taking away from anything they did, but just the feeling that I got, I felt like my best experience was when I was here. So me coming back here was not like a hard decision. You know, it's like, well, I know how I'll be treated when I come here. I know what it's like. I know what the coach is like. I know what the organization is like. I mean, even when I came back, it's like so much changes. I'm like, wow, like they just made so many upgrades, you know. So that shows that's because of the foundation they built, you know, years before I was here. So it's just a program that's growing, you know, and you want to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually, because it's not often we get a player that comes back for like a second spell with the club. So you talk about some of these changes that have happened in the program between your first spell and you've been there for a month now, but your second time with the club. Sort of what would you say has been the biggest difference so far in terms of stuff happening off the court, or maybe stuff on the court? The biggest difference to your experience now to your experience the first time around with Flyers?
Just the living situation is different, you know. The vehicles we're driving now, you know, it's a little fancy, I think. You know, the housing, the vehicles, the sponsorships are pretty much the same with food and stuff like that. The coaching is pretty much the same. But I would just say, just like, you know, there's more money put into it. You know, like the podcast, all this stuff is happening now. You know, it's just completely different. There's a lot more, you know, I guess there's a lot more centered around the future of the program, especially with the new arena that's going to get built. So everything is just coming together pretty much. Yeah.
Is that quite rewarding for you as a player to be part of a program where you can see the development and the route it's going in as well?
Yeah, I think it's hard for people to have that patience. I think before, and I think, you know, when you're younger, you're kind of looking for success right now. You want that instant gratification. But, you know, as you get older, you start to see the bigger picture and, you know, what's ahead to come. So it's like, you know, just being able to see the future and see what's going to happen here, you know, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you want to be a part of something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, shall we, before we get to the mailbag section of the podcast, there's one more topic we haven't even touched yet on the Bristol Flyers podcast, but probably a massive topic that everyone wants to know more about. 2018, Les, your second year with the club, you were named the sexiest male in Bristol. Was it the first year?
I think it was our first year, yeah.
Sexiest male in Bristol, according to the Bristol Post sexy list. They count down the top 50 sexiest influencers, athletes, etc. in Bristol. Leslee Smith, you were ranked at number 3 overall, but number 1.
That was number 2.
Was number 2. Oh, see, Les knows more than I do.
Yeah, I gotta know this stuff, right? But no, it's number 2 overall, number 1 male.
Yeah. What was your reaction when you first found that out?
I didn't even know what it meant, to be honest. I just woke up to a bunch of congratulations. I'm like, for what? Like, what happened? You know, they said somebody sent me the link, and I'm just like, what is this? Scrolling down, scrolling. I'm just like, sexy list, me, number 1 male. So it blew my mind. I didn't know what to expect. But my teammates was over exaggerating it. You know, everywhere we go, especially Brandon Boggs. That's my guy. I love Brandon. Shout out to B. If you ever see this, shout out to Brandon Boggs. He would always mention it no matter where we go, man. He'd be like, you know who this is? I'm just like, oh God, here we go.
Mr. Sexy. I've got a list here of some of the people that you were named above of at the time. Some of the Bristol sport athletes.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
So Leslee Smith was named above Bobby Reid, who obviously left Bristol City now.
Yeah, but now he plays in the Premier League.
He does.
Bobby Cordova Reid.
That's right. Yeah. So above Bobby Reid, above Hodor Magnusson, obviously Icelandic international defender, and also here's the big one: Gavin Henderson, Mr. Bachelor himself. You know, from he obviously used to play for Bristol Rugby. So back in the day. So Leslee Smith, you were ranked above all those 3.
I was actually gutted because the year before was when I was the Bristol sexiest man. So if you weren't here, mate, you know what I mean.
Les, I have no idea. I have no idea when they're doing the sexy list for 2022 or 2023.
I might not make it on the list. I don't know. You know, it depends. But I really don't. I think I met one of the women.
Oh yeah.
I met one of the women, you know, and she came up to me. We was out, I think we was out one night, and she came up to me. She said, "Hey, Leslie Smith, you don't know who I am?" I was like, "No." And she's like, "I'm one of the people from the Bristol Post." I'm like, "I want to talk to you," because I'm trying to figure out what was the decision making behind.
Well, so I read the story on their website, and it was voted. It was a very organized process where they just discussed it in the office. So imagine it's everyone just going through and Googling stuff, but like, oh, Leslee Smith, he looks quite tasty. and then put him up in top Bristol Sexiest Male.
No, I really wanted to know, I wish it's something I capitalize on a lot more.
There's still a chance. We haven't had the Bristol Sexiest list yet for 2022 or 2023. What's your message to those at the Bristol Post that are maybe watching or listening to this podcast right now that are considering putting you considering putting you back into the list? What's your message?
Yeah, let's do it again. 2022. I'm here. It's the Sexiest. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm back.
If he gets on the list, he promised that he'd get a tattoo saying Bristol Sexy List, and then 18-19, and then 22-23.
He puts some championship banners up on his arm.
Oh,
every year he wins the Sexiest Male title in Bristol.
Oh, that's clever.
Oh, very good. Les, great stuff. Let's get to the mailbag section of the podcast. Sam, you ready?
Yes.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Okay, so you know the drill. We ask fans to send in their questions for our guest. This week's guest is Leslee Smith. So your chance to send in your questions. We've got loads here we've got loads across Instagram, mainly on Instagram. We got a couple on Twitter, but yeah, largely Instagram. This one caught my eye straight away. Lou_Pavlova on Instagram wants to know, is Leslee Smith single?
Oh my God. Yeah, I am.
He is. There we go. Lou Pavlova. I can't just slide into Leslie's DMs.
No, don't slide. Man.
Let's get it set up.
I'm blocking my DMs. I'm about to close in my DMs. No. I am single though.
I can't believe Bristol's Sexiest Man is single. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there we go. Who would have thought?
Believe it.
Okay, so we've had a question come through from the official Bristol City Instagram football. Yeah.
Interesting.
And they ask, Thatcher's Gold or Thatcher's Haze?
Are you a cider drinker, Leslie?
I'm a cider drinker. I like cider. I think I'm going to go with the gold.
Yeah. Thatcher's Gold, the classic.
Classic. Yeah, I'm a classic man. See, I got a classic timepiece on. I'm a classic guy.
Leslie Smith with the classic Thatcher's Gold. You ever see Leslie Smith out? Obviously not a game day, obviously, but now you know what his drink of choice is. Maybe after the game. Now you know what Leslie Smith's drink of choice is. There we go. Got another question here from Ethan Malsh UK, or Mezid Malshk. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Yeah. Apologies if I butchered your name there. How does Bristol Flyers compare to the other BBL teams you played for? I guess we already covered this question, didn't we?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, but obviously Bristol Flyers is your favourite one. Sam, you want to go for this? You want to go for this next question?
This is a great question. Matt Hardy from the BBL Daily on Twitter asks, if there was a zombie apocalypse, which Flyers teammate would you want on your team? Past or present, last team or this team, or just this team?
I'll tell you what, let's go to any of your previous teammates. Yeah. Any previous teammate, either this year's team, or we can go to the 2018 team or 2017 team.
Zombie apocalypse.
So what are your criteria for a good teammate here in a zombie apocalypse? Do you want someone that's strong? Do you want someone that's quick? Do you want someone that can, take out some zombies for you? What are you saying?
Definitely need to be able to defend ourselves. Strong doesn't mean you're brave.
So you're looking for a defensive player, yeah?
Somebody who's brave, who's not going to be scared to fight. So, man, who?
Like a shot blocker or someone like that. Do you know what I mean? Swatting away zombies.
Who would I'd probably say Adam. Adam Weary.
Adam Weary.
Yeah,
okay.
Adam he's a smart guy. I'd probably go Adam. He could think on the fly.
There we go. Adam Weary. Leslie Smith, the ultimate. Hey, Quebec, you make a TV series about it. That's the one.
My guy. Shout out to Adam.
Hey, I'll watch
probably see this.
I got another question here from Lydia Dowding on Insta. It seems like all the Bristol Sport people in the office are either listening to the podcast or asking questions, which is great to great to see. Who would win in the fight between Batman and Superman?
I mean, we've seen the movies, right? It's not fair. Either way, it's not fair. If you get the kryptonite in him, he's done for. But if we was to go no powers, just straight human, I'll give it to Batman.
But Batman is a human.
Yeah, but I mean, Superman, when he gets the kryptonite, he's terrible.
Yeah.
When he doesn't, he's like the strongest guy in the world. So, oh man.
But Superman with no superpowers is just a normal person. He's just a man.
He's just a man. Yeah, he's just a man. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It depends on the situation. It depends on the situation. If Superman has his powers, then it's easily Superman.
But without, he's just a man with
just
pants out. He's wearing his pants on the outside of his trousers.
Just a man with pants on his trousers.
And an S on his chest.
Okay, we got to get through the last few because this is going on a bit, I reckon. But good question here from Crouch69 on Instagram. Are there more doors in the world, or more heels in the world?
Wheels.
I just read that wrong. Yeah, you've spelt that wrong, actually.
Whoops. That meant to say W, guys. Sorry.
Are there more doors or wheels in the world? Do you remember this debate from a few months back? Okay, so it's a stupid question.
So basically, you have to add up every single possible door in the world, and then you have to add up every single wheel in the world. And what do you think there's more of? Doors or wheels? So you got to think about it here. So like doors, there could be door to anything.
Cupboards,
actual
houses,
doors,
yeah.
houses, windows. The window counts as a door, or is that a window?
Nah, that's a window.
But it's like a, you know what I mean? You can walk through a window.
Using that analogy, I would probably go doors.
Yeah, but what about like all Hot Wheels and like
the little car?
Yeah,
every
they've all
car in
got
the
wheels.
world, every car in the world has 4 wheels here. What about like a Ferris wheel?
That counts?
Well, it's a wheel.
Oh,
What about a wagon wheel?
Wagon wheels, yeah, that
Man,
counts
y'all
as a
throwing
wheel.
me all over. Look, okay, wheels. I'll say wheels. Now that you say the little cars, then yeah, it's a million of those everywhere.
Okay, there we go. The decision's been made here on the podcast. A couple more questions to finish things off here. Charlie Lincoln is back again for another question. What's he like, eh?
He
From
loves
our
it.
marketing team.
He loves it.
He loves a question, Charlie. Wants to know what your Nando's order is.
I love the chicken butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
I
strong.
love that, and I love the thighs also. You know, I actually tried the what is it? The chicken burger. Oh, well, I forgot the name of it. I tried that the other day. It was too sloppy for me. I couldn't do it. But I'm typically gonna go with the thighs. You know, some peri chips and garlic bread.
How spicy is your chicken?
I need it hot.
Huh.
I need it hot. Sweating hot. Sweat. You know, I'm from the islands. We love spice. You know, we love that hot food.
What about the hotter one up there? What's their biggest one called?
Extra hot.
Extra.
extra hot?
Yeah, I thought it had a fancy name. No, she doesn't look like a Nando's.
Nah, I don't like it too hot. Just enough to give me a little sweat going. Not. I can't eat this hot. No,
Okay.
I don't need that. Yeah.
Right, we've got one last question for you from Alyssa Henley on Instagram. She wants to know if you've got any advice for other athletes who want to make it to a professional team in their sport.
I'll give you the advice that I always keep in the back of my mind. It's something you have to really want. You know, if you really want to become a professional athlete, you're gonna do whatever it takes. You know, you're gonna take the steps necessary, whether that's going to school, you know, going to, you know, get, you know, just preparing yourself, and don't let anything get in your way. You know, don't let anybody change how you feel about what you want for yourself. You want to become a professional athlete, do the things necessary. Go to the gym, do your running, work on your skills. You know, if you get a scholarship, you know, to go to school, you know, go to school, learn as much as you can, soak up all the information, because it's going to be helpful, especially when you become a professional athlete. Because when you get to this level, they expect you to know all these things already. You're not supposed to come here and they have to teach you these things. You're supposed to know these things. So I say just put your all into it, put your heart into it, and just soak up every information you can. You know, find somebody that you enjoy watching, find a team, find a player, learn from them. You know, like when I was growing up, I used to watch a lot of Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, Shaq. Well, not really Shaq. I used to watch a lot of guys that were good with footwork, Tracy McGrady. So I think that's what helped me learn footwork, you know, stuff like that. So just be a student of the game, you know, and that's going to take you a long way.
Great stuff.
Really good answer. Thank you.
I think that's a great place for us to wrap things up here on the podcast. Sam, anything else you want to add before we wrap things up?
No, I think that's it from me.
Oh, I'm an island boy.
Island boy.
I have to give a massive shout out to our island boy, Leslee Smith, for hopping on the podcast. We'll be back same time next week, won't we? I don't know who we're going to have yet, but hey, I need to send out the messages. Who should we get on next, Les?
I don't know, man. Who can you get on here?
I'm just gonna. Otherwise, I'm just gonna literally.
Who are you thinking?
I'm gonna pick on someone.
Bit of TB, I want. Bit of TB3.
I'm trying to get Mike Miller and Thomas Bell on together, and we can do like a mean green reunion
That would be good.
sort of episode. Would be pretty cool. But
That'd be cool.
yeah, we'll be back here same time next week. Leslee, thank you so much for joining us on the
Happy to
Bristol
be here.
Flyers
Enjoyed it. Had fun.
podcast, and yeah, we will see you guys same time next week here on the podcast.